Howdy and welcome on back to East Texas Now, and it is time for our vet project. Joining us now is Dr. Meredith Stanley. She is joining us from the Nacogdoches Animal Hospital, and today we are talking about many different things. It looks like I have some sound playing in the background. Please pardon me while I fix that real quick. Excellent. Okay, let me pull you back up. I appreciate your patience, Doctor. All right, here she is now, and of course, we are talking about the creepy crawlies, the bugs that linger and hide within the grass that could absolutely wreak havoc on our critters. I know anytime I step out on my back porch, I'm just covered in mosquitoes, and I know we've talked about that in the past, but there's other little creepy crawlers, several different factors that can contribute to insects being attracted to humans, whether that's body odor, temperature, you name it. What attracts insects to cats and dogs specifically?
Yeah, and I'm really glad we're talking about this because 'tis the season. Forgive me, my daughter had to join us for a little bit today. So say hi, Jody. Say hi. We're family friendly practice with her future Aggie Vet t-shirt on. So she loves it. Yes.
Nice to
So
meet
insects are attracted to dogs and cats just like they are to people. So dogs and cats are a little bit more affected because they're outside more, right? If you have outside dogs, outside cats, there's going to be more outdoor exposure. Fun fact, insects are more attracted to dark furred pets than light furred pets. We think it's something with insects visualization. We don't know the science behind it exactly. So if you have a dark furred animal, they may be more reactive to some bites or just more attracted. Body heat will attract mosquitoes and other biting insects. Our animals, just like we produce carbon dioxide, which also attracts insects too. And then body odor, our dogs and our cats, they put off body odor too through their feet and through their fur, just like we do, and horses, just like we do. And so that will attract insects.
Oh wow. So there's so many different factors. The animal fur, that threw me for a loop because I have a solid white cat and he doesn't usually have any issues with any critters messing with him, but I have a solid black cat and he tends to, I feel like every time I look at him, he's got a bug on him. So that's very interesting to kind of take away. Now, I'm curious, and I'm sure you've seen this. I think I've seen this with my pets. If they're bit by a bug, just like we are, the little bump happens, they get itchy. Is it the same for all pets who maybe get a mosquito bite or a different kind of bite? Do they have that same kind of human reaction that we do?
Great question. If your pet gets bit by a bee or a wasp, they're going to have a little bit more of an intense reaction. You're going to see facial swelling or a little bit more of a hive or a whelp at the bite site. Mosquito bites, gnats, black flies, those are going to be more of like a small raised bump with a mild swelling. And then, ants are going to cause a very similar bite to people where you're going to get like a little bit of a pustule. Now, everybody's different, but it's going to be this pretty similar. And then our pets are going to itch too, but they can't scratch like we do. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, but their itching is going to look a little bit different.
Now, I know some of us also have some like allergic reactions that could come with, certain bug bites. Like I have a tough time with wasps. Is there a similar kind of
Yeah.
situation going on with pets as well?
As far as like what you can put on afterwards.
I'm
Well,
allergic to
just more of like
bugs.
an allergy aspect to those bites.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So some pets will have no sensitivity or allergy to different bites. Fleas are going to be a specific one. So if your cat or your dog has a specific flea bite allergy, they can itch from the saliva in that bite 2, 3, 4, 6, sometimes up to 8 weeks from a singular flea bite. And that is going to be your dogs and cats that have severe flea allergy dermatitis. Now, not every pet luckily has that, but if your pet has a severe allergy, you're not going to see bumps and stuff all the time, but they're going to be having extreme itch, and that itch is going to create secondary infection.
And you were just talking about how they can't itch as well as we can. What does that how does that look, or how do they itch effectively? I know there's, you can chew on, you can scratch with their little claws, but it's a completely different process for us.
Yes. Yeah, so they use their back legs a lot. Oh, I love that. They use their back legs a lot to scratch like their underarms and their armpits. They're going to bite and chew, like you said, on very itchy areas. They're also going to rub on the floor and on furniture. So if your pet is just you're itching on the carpet more than normal, they're itchy, and that could be from a potential bite sometimes. Now, there's a lot of causes for itching, but it could definitely be insects too.
Oh, wow. Now, I have my mom, her dog, had an issue where he would itch and scratch at his paws, and that quickly became a habit. Is that something that you see often with animals? Maybe, let's say they have that sensitivity to a flea, and that just becomes a habit of like self-soothing when they lick their paws so much.
Definitely. The itch itself sometimes is the less concerning problem. The damage that's caused by the itching and the scratching is honestly what I see. So I see the hair loss, I see the red and inflamed skin, the scabs, the crust that will then turn into open sores, bleeding. Their skin will actually get more thickened, or we call elephant-like skin, and look like an elephant essentially just from chronic itching. Hot spots, and then you're going to have some infections. So you can see bad odor from the infection. And on top of that, some of these bites will just cause, if a dog has a sensitivity to like a wasp or something, their whole face can swell up and they can have respiratory problems too. So it's a lot different, because if they get swelling around their neck, that can happen as well.
Goodness. Okay. When I'm going into maybe like my back porch because it's summertime, I put on off spray. Is that same kind of treatment okay to put on your animals?
That's a great question. So most of the biting insects that get us, they can be really, really similar. But prevention, such as flea prevention, tick and mosquito control, remains the best way to reduce insect bites and limit the diseases that they transfer. So, while we will spray our skin directly, your dogs and cats have fur, and so it's not very effective. And if they lick it, the chemicals from that can cause some issues. So really making sure your pet is on like an oral pill or a topical drop that your veterinarian gives you is going to be the best way to prevent those things.
Now, treating when it comes to, treating those little bites, treating those scratches, what do you recommend? I know there's some that say maybe Neosporin. Is it where do we draw the line from human medications to people or to critter medications?
Yeah. As a whole, most of these like topical like creams and ointments that we put on are going to be pretty benign to pets. It's not going to do a lot of harm to them, but it's also really not going to do a lot of good. If you put a cream or an ointment on your pet, they're just going to lick it and it's going to create a secondary infection. So most of the time, if you have a an anti-itch shampoo or antimicrobial shampoo where you can lather it up, let it sit, really work with that contact time and then rinse it off, that's going to be the best thing to do. Some of these guys also need oral medications if they need oral steroids or other medications that will like help it stop internally. That's going to be better. Um, Creams and things like that, there's not a whole lot for over the counter. It's going to do a lot of good, but it's also not going to hurt a lot either if you accidentally put some Neosporin on.
When you brought up shampoos and creams, the first thing that popped in my head was the oatmeal shampoo I see all the time on like at the pet store.
Yes.
Is that something you would recommend?
Yes. Yeah, over the counter, colloidal oatmeal shampoo is just going to help soothe the skin. It calms the skin down. Now, it's not going to be an end all be all if your pet is having like a serious reaction or has a major infection, but it definitely helps soothe the skin and helps with itching. You can do it up to twice a week if you think that your pet's having an active flare up. But after that, I really wouldn't do it too often, not more than once every couple of weeks, because you don't want to decrease, their pet's natural oils, which helps kind of keep their skin happy.
Mommy's the best
Gotcha.
vet.
Oh yeah, you got a cheerleader in there. Is there
I
any
do,
final
I do.
notes? Is there any final notes that you have on just again treating bug bites, preventing bug bites, for us before we wrap up things here?
Yeah, I would just say, if you're having a problem outside of just staying on a monthly flea and tick and, mosquito control prevention, environmental control can help too. So if you have a yard where you're having a lot of sand or you think you have a flea infestation, treating your guard can go a long way. There's a lot of products that are safe and that you can use that are over the counter just to make sure they stay safe for children, safe for pets, to spray your areas. Are all of these, parasites and insects love to be in moist, damp areas too. So make sure you're checking underneath your porches and those areas if you feel like you have an infestation where you live.
Oh, that's such a good point. Those little hidey holes that don't often get looked at, make sure you're taking care of that. Okay. And again, those gutters that can easily fill up with debris and everything else, leaves, you name it, another breeding ground for those critters.
Standing water.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
All that. Okay. So, again, thank you so much, Dr. Meredith Staniland with the Nacogdoches Animal Hospital. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us. Have a great day.
Have a great-
Land.
Yes.
nice
All right.
meeting
All right.
you.
Bye.